Today we're speaking about the Parsha and the Haftorah, how it relates to current events. If you look at the book of Zechariah, we're going to read this Shabbat, the book of Zechariah, chapter 4, in the Haftorah of Parshat Beha'alotcha. He says something amazing. He says, Has kol basar. Has kol basar. It's Zechariah, the Haftorah, Parshat Beha'alotcha. 1182 in the Hebrew. Zechariah 2, verse 17. Has kol basar. All humanity, shut your mouth. Stop condemning Israel.
Oh, yeah.
There's a new sheriff in town. It's just amazing. Nikki Haley yesterday, I know she read this Haftorah, where she told the UN to shut your mouth. Why are you condemning Israel? Israel is not terrorizing the Gazans. It's Hamas that's terrorizing the Gazans. Has kol basar. Again, Nikki Haley anticipated Zechariah 2,400 years ago. Zechariah 2, verse 17, he says, Has kol basar. All humanity, shut your mouth and stop condemning Israel. And that Israel is not terrorizing anybody. It is Hamas that's terrorizing their own people. That's what she said. Can you imagine that? What a tzaddikus this lady is. And then the Haftorah goes on. Again, the miracles that are happening constantly. A rocket landed in the kindergarten, and just happened, the Ganenet happened to be late, so therefore the kindergarten wasn't open, because she happened to be late that day. If she was on time, Masha, what would have happened, Lo Yaleinu? A massacre of Yiddish Kinderlach. So she had to be late that day.
It was Basher.
It wasn't Basher, because look what the Haftorah says, something amazing. Again, Zechariah, this week's Haftorah, verse 9. Zechariah, verse 9, he says, Kihine o even asher nasati lifnei Yeshua al even achas shiva einayim. You have to open up. Now, Shiva, 7 in Tanakh means many. God tells the prophet, you have to open up your eyes, many eyes to what? To see the miracles, to step back and appreciate how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is protecting us. A rocket fell in a gan, and just happened that the Ganenet was late and the kids were late. So he says, Shiva Einayim. You see that Pasuk 9, Yehuda? Kine o'even asher sat leYeshua, Shiva Einayim. Open up your eyes, 7 eyes. Even in Yiddish, you want to say you have to look at something, with Zibin Oigim. Right? But Shiva Einayim, in order to appreciate the tremendous miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing for us constantly, and not to take it for granted. The prophet says, and not to take it for granted, to appreciate what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing for us. This week's Haftorah is Zechariah, and he ends with verse 6, before the end, Pasuk 6. Vayan v'yormi alai zeh dover Hashem el Zerubbabel elema lo b'chayil v'lo b'koach, not by a mighty army and not with strength. Ki'im beruchi, Amar Hashem Tzevaot. My spirit wins wars. Of course, we have to have ishtadlut, but who's behind Tzahal? Who's behind the Iron Dome, Avi? It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hashem. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us this tremendous technology, the know-how, how to what? To defend ourselves against our bitter enemies. And if only the government would untie the hands of the IDF and let them do the job that they're capable of doing. Here you get to the strange incidents of Miriam speaking Lashon Hara against her brother. Miriam is speaking Lashon Hara against her brother. It's the end of the Parsha, Bamidbar 12. So she becomes a leper. She becomes a leper for speaking Bamidbar 12. Pasuk 10, Midbar 12:10, the cloud lifts up from the tent, and Miriam becomes a leper for speaking Lashon Hara. Mitzorah is Motzi Shemra. The word Mitzorah is an acronym for Motzi Shemra. Miriam becomes a leper. But what about Aaron? Aaron also spoke Lashon Hara. So what is we playing favoritism over here? What does the Midbar 12 verse 10 say? Who became a leper? It says only Miriam. So therefore, if you don't have the oral Torah, Avraham, you have only less than half the picture. If you look at the Talmud Shabbos, page 97, it says that Aaron also became a leper. You read verse 10 very carefully. The cloud went up from the tent, And behold, Miriam became a leper, white like snow, right? And then what does it say after that, Avraham? What does it say after that? Aaron turned, right?
Aaron turned to Miriam.
What do you mean Aaron turned? What does that mean? What do you mean Aaron turned? So Chazal learn out in Shabbos 97 that Aaron also turned into a leper. But he got healed immediately because he was just a nuch leper. How do you say that in English? She was the main instigator and he just followed along. So even though he also became a leper, otherwise the words Vayif and Aaron are redundant or superfluous, he also turned, Aaron turned, but he was cured immediately because he was not the instigator.
Also, verse 11 backs it up because it says, Aaron says to Moses,
Right.
I beg you, my Lord, do not cast sin upon us.
Beautiful.
Us, because it's not just her.
Right. So,
We have been foolish and we have sinned.
Yehuda makes a great point. Verse 11, Aaron says to Moshe, please, my Lord, right? Please do not, what? Soshas aleinu chatos. We have acted foolishly and we have sinned. So they are implying that he also, what? Became a leper. So if you don't have the oral Torah, you're getting less than half the picture, surely. So, for instance, it says on Sukkot, you should take the pre-Eitz Hadar. You should take the fruit of a beautiful tree and shake it. Maybe it's an avocado, maybe it's an orange. How do you know the fruit of a beautiful tree is a citron? Right? And how do you know your tefillin are black with 4 parshas? So the reason that the written Torah is written this way is to prove, surely, there's another Torah out there. Without the oral Torah, we get less than half the picture. So you just take, and the oral Torah works because the written Torah writes an extra word, Aaron turned. What does it mean Aaron turned? That's how the oral Torah works. It squeezes the extra words in the written Torah to prove that Aaron also became a leper. But he got cured immediately. Who remained a leper for 7 days? Who? Miriam. Because again, she was the instigator. The kochlefel. How do you say in Yiddish, a kochlefel? Anybody know Yiddish here? No?
Yeah, a kochlefel.
A kochlefel. Shirley, I knew Shirley would know what it means. A kochlefel. Okay, thank you. Shirley saved the day. Okay. Now, I'll tell you something amazing. Verse 15. Miriam was locked up outside the camp 7 days, right, Rabbi Abraham? And it says, Va'am lo nasa ad oseb Miriam. The people didn't travel until what? Miriam what?
Cured.
Was joined the camp. What do you mean the people didn't travel? The Parsha speaks on going, Al pi Hashem yisu, al pi Hashem yachnu. When did the people know to travel and to camp? Follow that cloud. Sound cloud. Follow that cloud. So it's not up to the people. It's not up to the people. It's up to the cloud. The Torah keeps repeating. Sometimes the cloud lingered many days. The people waited. Sometimes one day, cloud got up, follow that cloud. So it wasn't up to the people. The people had the best GPS in the world. Maddie, what's the best GPS in the world? The Kodesh Baruch Hu's cloud. Better than Vase. Better than Vase. So which way did they go? Right? So again, look at verse 15. Miriam was shut up for 7 days outside, and the people did not travel until Miriam was not up to the people. And the Rechaim HaKodesh asked the question, look at verse 10, Shirley. Verse 10, you ain't got a book. Anybody got a book? Verse 10 says that what? Verse 10.
Departed from the top to 10.
That's a signal for what?
To leave.
To move. So God says, come on guys, pack your bags and ready to go. And what did we say? Before nicht, how do you say in Yiddish? We're not going without Miriam. Hey God, hello people, the cloud lifted off. And that's a signal, as you see in the middle of the parsha, it's time to what? Remember wagon train, move them out. V'am lo nasa. Ich fuhr nicht. Isn't that chutzpah, Yehuda? V'ham lo nasa, and the people said, sorry, God, we're not leaving without Miriam. Wow. And God said, okay. What?
God said, okay.
Right?
This does tell us that
So only
maybe
after.
the cloud didn't move for the second.
No, you look at verse 10. The Orchaim HaKodesh points out, verse 10 says clearly, the cloud, we have liftoff. That's a signal to pack your bags. But the Torah testifies in verse 15, Va'am loy nasa, even though the cloud went up, Abraham. What's the message?
God was happy.
Derech Eretz Kodma LaTorah. Hakora Satov. We owe Miriam. Without her, there ain't no water supply. The magic well, 40 years, Diet Coke and Pepsi and Sprite, in her schus. Hakora Satov. And also she babysat little Moses, right, by the water there. Without her, little Moses, who knows? Hakora Satov trumps all. You like that play on words? Yeah. Hakora Satov. So even though God said what? Move them out, because verse 10 says, the cloud says, let's move. Hakora Satov trumps all. Now, of course, as Sarah said, God was testing us. This is only a test. You want to leave Miriam behind? Let me see what you're made of, Yidden. And the Yidden passed with flying colors, Masha. God was testing us. The cloud moving was only a test. And we passed. That we're not leaving without Miriam. Hakara Tatov is the Iker of Yahadut, and that comes even before what? Torah. Pretty incredible. You had a question, yes?
Okay, I'm sorry. My impression always was that the cloud departed, and I was thinking that this is it. Like the Jewish people, we're now going to be stuck in the desert without Hashem.
Why?
And he's angry.
No, this, if you read the Parsha, you see that the cloud lifting up off the tent, that was a signal to what? Pack your bags and move. And here they didn't move, even though the cloud went up. Because Hakora Satov. Of course, God was testing us. Yicharaf Hashem. Ravaya, God was angry at whom? At Miriam and Aaron. Vayelech, and he departed, meaning that after he pronounced sentence, Kaviyachal, he departed. Rashi breaks the Chazal. What do you mean he departed? God is all over. Great question. God pronounced sentence, and what? And he left. But God's all over. So Rashi brings a beautiful Chazal. A king had a child or children that sinned against him. So the king hands over the sinning children to a tutor to administer punishment. But the king says to the tutor, please, don't start punishing them until I depart. I can't bear to see their punishment. So God pronounced sentence. He handed him over for being punished, but Kaviyachal, he, like a father that knows his child must be punished, tough love, but he still, doesn't want to see it because he says, this is going to hurt me more than what? Than it hurts you, and therefore it says, Vayelech, even though God is all over. Even though God is all over. But now we have to understand the question. What did Miriam and Aaron, they spoke about Moshe Rabbeinu. So Rashi quotes Chazal that what? That he divorced his wife. He has such a beautiful wife physically and spiritually. And why is he breaking up a happy home? And therefore they were punished for it. But the question is that 80 years earlier, Yehuda, if you remember, Miriam also spoke, this time not against her brother, but this time against what? Her father. She said, why is mommy divorcing daddy, breaking up a happy home? And there, instead of being punished, little Miriam gets surely a knip in the bekel. How do you say that in English? A knip in the bekel. Pinch on the cheeks. I'm glad she came today. So why, 80 years ago, when she spoke Lashon Hara against her father for divorcing mommy, breaking up a happy home, there, she gets what? Praise to the nines. Here, 80 years later, this time she's not speaking against her father, she's speaking against her brother for breaking up a happy home. And here, instead of getting a knip in the bekel, she gets whacked. What's the difference? What's the difference? She rebuked her father, same offense. Here she rebuked her brother. And here she gets condemned. And 80 years earlier, she what? Gets praised. And not only that, her father listened to her, remarried his mother, and who was born? Moses. So what's the difference? What's the difference?
What difference is she was right the first time? So I-
What? She was right the first time and wrong?
That's one difference.
Yeah. Yes.
Miriam rebuked her father,
Right.
the one who done as she thought was sin, and with the case of Moshe and his wife, she didn't speak to him, she spoke to Aaron, and that was where it was lost.
Beautiful, Dr. Hackett.
If she'd spoken to Moshe, it would have been all right.
Beautiful. Thank you. 80 years ago, she had a complaint. She said, Abba, can we go into the den?
Face to face.
Face to face, 4 eyes, have something to tell you. That's not Lashon Hara. You speak to the person that you feel is doing wrong, even your own father. But just between 4 eyes. That's not Lashon Hara. You have a gripe, somebody, straighten me out, tell me what you're doing. But now, 80 years later, instead of going to Moshe, like she did to her father, she didn't go to Moshe, like Dr. Hackett said, she went behind his back. That's classic Lashon Hara. So even though you might be saying the truth, if you don't tell it to the person directly, but you go behind his back, even to another sibling, that becomes what? Classic Lashon Hara. And that's the difference. That's the difference, right? You have something to say to somebody, you don't go behind his back, you call the person in and privately you confront them, even a parent. And therefore Amram, amazing little Amram, what? Should have said, listen, I'm the chief rabbi of Cairo. You're a little 5-year-old girl, go back to your milk and cookies. Or go back to your romper room. No, but he listened to her. He listened to her. What's the message? Listen to your little girl, right? Little girls are bina yatena. So therefore Amram listened, the good thing he did, and when he remarried Yocheved, who was born? Moshe Rabbeinu was born. But here for some reason, she didn't confront her brother, she went behind his back, and that is classic Lashon Hara. Killing me softly with words. Killing me softly with words, even though if it's true, you speak about somebody behind his back, even though it's true, that's, even in English it's called, I think it's called character assassination, Avi. Isn't that what it's called? Character assassination. So God rebukes Aaron and Miriam. But look how he rebukes them. Incredible. Keep in mind your Torah's GPS. Look at Bamidbar 12, verse 6. Bamidbar 12, verse 6. He says to them, Shimino devarai, please hear my words. Rashi points out, no loshen bakasha. So even when God is rebuking them, he's doing it in a polite way. If you rebuke somebody, you still do it, b'loshen raka, b'loshen bakasha. God is teaching us that even though if you're upset with somebody and you have to rebuke them, do it in a polite, kind way. Otherwise, it's counterproductive. And this is actually amazing, Tillim 51. It says, Nosan HaNavi came to David HaMelech, B'vo elav Nosan HaNavi kashabal Batsheva. Psalm 51 is the psalm where Nosan HaNavi, Natan the prophet, comes to rebuke David for his sin with Batsheva. So if you read the Hebrew, it says, B'vo elav Natan HaNavi kashabal Batsheva. Natan HaNavi came to rebuke him, kashabal Batsheva. Psalm 51. I wonder, you have a psalm with you? I wonder how the English has that. See if they're right. Psalm 51. Let's see if the English is right. Psalm 51. The beginning of the psalm.
What is it in Hebrew, the letter?
Nun Aleph. Perik Nun Aleph. Psalm 51.
Okay, I got it.
Go ahead. The beginning.
For the conductor's song, but when Nathan the prophet came to him, when he came to Bathsheba, show me favor.
1 second. When Nathan the prophet came to him, when he came to Bathsheba. What do you mean when he came to Bathsheba? Middle of the date he came to him? He came to him after he had the date with Bathsheba, right? Freeze a crowd. It should have said Acha Boal Batsheva. It says Kasher Boal Batsheva. So what is it? We think that Nathan came with fire and brimstone to rebuke. But the Navi points out Kasher Boal Batsheva. Just like David came to Batsheva to get a date. How did he come? Flowers and a lovey-dovey talk. That's how Nassan HaNavi came to rebuke King David. And my Rebbe Rapam pointed out, if you can't rebuke someone the way Nassan rebuked David, don't even do it. Before Elav Natan HaNavi, how do you have the English there? Kasher Boal Batsheva. Just like David came to Batsheva with soft, beautiful words to get a date, that's exactly how what? Nassan HaNavi came to rebuke King David. Not like you see in the movies. You know, good Nick. And if you can't rebuke that way, don't bother at all. Amazing verse in Psalm 51. So you have to know how to rebuke, when to rebuke, and in what language. Otherwise, you're just wasting your breath and probably making it even worse. Making even worse. Now look at verse 3, Bamidbar 12, verse 3. Moshe was the most humble man on the face of the earth. Right, Yuna? That's what it says? Bamidbar 12, 3, am I right? Bamidbar 12, 3. Moshe was the most humble man on the face of the earth. I know Moses didn't live in Mars. Avi, did Moses live on Venus? And we know there are no extra words in the Torah, Avi. So he could have said Moshe is the most humble man. Why do you have to add? Did they say the word earth? Yudah. What?
English it does.
Yeah, Hadamah, planet Earth. Planet Earth. There are no extra words in the Torah. We know that Moses did not live where? Avi, on Mars, right? So why Al Panei Adamah? What's the message?
We can all be humble.
The message, why add the word earth? We know it. There are no extra words in the Torah. Al Mikol Adam. Al Panei Adamah. Well, where else did human beings live? Right? What's the message?
More than any other person living in earth.
Moshe Rabbeinu is above the earthly gossip. The Torah is testifying all the earthly nonsense, the smartphone, the dumb phones, and all of the, to be popular and to be number one. All of these earthly nonsense, Moshe Rabbeinu was way above that. It didn't concern him. He had no earthly ego, Avi. He didn't care what they said about him. But it's still Lashon Hara. Even though Moshe had no earthly ego and no earthly gossip concerned him and he wasn't concerned about it, Afal Pi Kain, God was upset. Even though Moses wasn't. What a message. Avi, you hear the message? Otherwise, the words Al Panei Adamah is what? Extra redundant. And we know that's not so, right? Powerful message, right? So they meant well, right? They were upset that Zipporah, this beautiful woman, physically and spiritually beautiful, is now going to be what? Rejected, alone. And they were upset about her, but they should have gone to Moses and not go behind his back. Okay? Powerful message. And they both got punished for it. They both got punished for it, right? Now we know, killing me softly with words, Avi. Lashon Hara. Even in English it's called character assassination. This chassid went to his Rebbe. And he said, Rebbe, there's an opening in your yeshiva. I want to be a malamed in your yeshiva. There's an opening. A malamed means a teacher, right, Sarah? So the Rebbe said to him, go work in the Chevek Kadisha. Go work in the Chevek Kadisha. You know what that means? The burial society. He says, Rebbe, I don't understand. What do you... I'm asking, I know there's an opening in your yeshiva to be a teacher. So why are you sending me to the Chevek Kadisha for? He says, I know your tongue. You have a sharp tongue. Instead of burying the living, go bury the dead. You're going to be a teacher? With your temper and sharp tongue, you'll be burying the live students. Better go bury the dead. Right? He says, "V'mkom ligbor hachayim, leich ligbor hametim." Powerful message, right? Lashon hara. The Rambam says lashon hara kills three. It kills the speaker, it kills the listener, and kills the person being spoken about. Right? Now look at the beginning of the parsha. Beha'alotcha tanerot, Bamidbar 8. Bamidbar 8, verse 2. God says, speak to Aaron and say to him, when you light the candles. Now the word light the candles should have said hadlaka. How do they have that in English, Yehuda? Bamidbar 8, verse 2.
Kindle the lamps.
Kindle? But Rashi says the word Beha'alotcha means when you make the candles go up. Beha'alotcha, the word is what? Aliyah. Beha'alotcha tanerot. So Rashi wonders, God knows Hebrew, should have said Beha'alotcha tanerot. Why say Beha'alotcha tanerot? From the word what? Aliyah. Says Rashi. She'ato madlik umeitiv et hanerot. You will light and do good to the candles. That's what Rashi says. How do you do? Hey, candle, I want to do good to you. Ato madlik umeitiv et hanerot. It says Rashi, the word Beha'alotcha, Hashem shahalav ole, because the flame what? Ole. Therefore, it's written aliyah. She'tzorech lahadlik. You have to keep the match on the flame until the flame what? Goes up by its own. What's it all about? How do you do good to a candle? Madliku meitiv et hanerot. Who is the candle?
Take it out to dinner.
Yourself.
Ner Hashem nishmat adam. Thank you. There's a pasuk in Mishlei. Our soul are the candle. Ner Hashem nishmat adam. What does that mean? The candle, the menorah, is only a symbol that the Ner Hashem, God's candle, is the human soul. And all of us are obligated to light my fire and light your fire. Light my fire. Madliku meitiv. Do good to your candle, Avi. Who's your candle? Your godly soul. How do you do good to your godly soul? By doing good to others. By doing chesed to others, you are lighting your own candle. You are doing good to your candle, your godly soul, by helping the zulat. The zulat in Hebrew means what? Echom zulat be'englit.
Couple.
The other. Zulat, the other. The Ner Hashem nishmat adam. So therefore it's called Beha'alotcha, says Lashon Aliyah. Madliku meitiv et hanero, do good to your candle. Spread the light of Torah. Spread the light of Torah. There's a dark room, Avi, with 100 people there. You light one candle.
Stands out.
The one person, 100 people. Ner lechad, ner lemeya, right? A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. You light one little candle, one word of Torah. You could ignite somebody's neshama. You never know. You could ignite someone's neshama, and this way he will ignite someone else's neshama. Powerful message. Why it's written Beha'alotcha Lashon Aliyah. All of us have this obligation in our own way. A kind word, a smile, a word of Torah, words of encouragement. Any act of chesed you do, Avi, you're lighting someone else's fire. And therefore it's written Beha'alotcha tanerot. Right? Now, Rashi, look at verse 3. Aaron did what Hashem told him. Verse 3, Bamidbar 8, verse 3. Aaron did what Hashem told him, right? Rashi says the Torah comes to praise Aaron that what? That he did not change. The Torah gives Aaron a pat on the back, Abraham. Look, if God would tell me to light the menorah, would I change? I mean, why would I want to change the service for? Like a shifcha shel Aaron shelo shina. Why is that a praise? God told him, light the menorah. So why does the Torah give him a pat on the back? That he did what Hashem said he did not change. Why would he want to change if Hashem told him to light the menorah this way?
Are we
So the message is not that he didn't change the service. He didn't change. That what you want to say?
Well, I
He
was
didn't
gonna
get
say,
haughty.
I mean,
He didn't get haughty. He didn't get stuck up. I'm the big kahuna now. Get out of my way. He remained the same humble person he was before he became the big kahuna. That's a praise. Because when people attain greatness, right, they don't want to take your phone calls anymore. And they don't say hello to you anymore. Right? You know somebody like that? But Rabbi Sprecher gives it a deeper interpretation. Imagine the first time Aaron lit the menorah. Abraham, I'm so excited. The first time you saw the Kotel, Maddie, weren't you excited? Can you imagine how Aaron was the first time he lit the menorah? But after a while, it's human nature to what? It becomes blasé. Aaron's greatness, he didn't change. Every morning he lit the menorah with the same enthusiasm as the first time. That's a praise. Because human nature is you get fachadet. Shirley, how do you say fachadet?
You get mixed up.
You get fachadet means you get bored, you get, And that's why King David in Psalm 27 has a strange prayer. King David in Psalm 27 says, Shifti beveis Hashem, I want to dwell in God's house. What's God's house? Pisgat Zev. I mean Ashkelon. I mean Rechavia. Psalm 27. Shifti beveis Hashem. Now God's house means the Eretz Yisrael. Please. Psalm 27. Shifti beveis Hashem. I want to dwell in God's house. And then he says, Ulevake becholoi, but I want to be a tourist. King David, you're contradicting yourself. First you say you want to live in God's house. And then you say you want to be a tourist.
Always with the excitement.
Said the great Rabbi Sprecher. King David prayed, what Aaron attained, King David prayed for that. I want to live in God's house. I want to live in Eretz Yisrael, but I want to have the excitement of a bikur, Maddie. First time I saw the Kotel, I was so excited. Right, Rachmiel? But after a while, it wears off. Something to pray for. I want to be the tourist. Even though I'm living here, 23 years, I still want to feel like a tourist. I want to have that excitement. King David prayed for that. Aaron HaKohen achieved it. And that's something to what? To take a pat on the back. Don't take for granted that we're living in Eretz Yisrael. The Vilna Gaon couldn't make it here. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't make it here. Let's be excited, Shirley. I'm so excited. So even though I live here, I want to feel like Levake Be'echoloi, says King David in Psalm 27. And that's something to what? To pray for, because it don't come easy. You know it doesn't come easy because human nature is, right, Sarah? That's the way it is. After a while, the thrill is gone. Remember that song? The thrill is gone.
He's the other song. You know it don't come easy.
You know it don't come easy. But the thrill is gone by B.B. King. I had to get that in, Avram. Remember B.B. King? Come on. The thrill is gone. No, I don't want the thrill to be gone, Shirley. Right? But by Aaron, the thrill was not gone. Every time he lit the menorah, he didn't change his enthusiasm. The excitement didn't wear off. And that is something to what? To be praised for. Now, you remember that commercial? I think it was called for Wendy's. Where's the beef? I'm dating myself. Clara? It comes from this week's Parsha. Go ahead.
Okay, so what's the sequence of events in terms of Nadav and Abihu? And then...
None of you are already dead by this time. They died in the last book of Vayikra.
So
We're beyond that now. We're in the book of Amidbar. They're already dead.
You might be beyond it, but you can't say that Aaron is beyond
You never
it.
get over. I lost a child too. You never get over that. You lose a child, you never go over it. But you have to go on with life.
So,
You have to go on with life.
doesn't he get merit for doing the service of Hashem?
Well, Hashem told him do the service.
Right.
So why should he get praised? If God would tell me personally to light the menorah, would I not do it? That doesn't deserve a praise. The praise is that enthusiasm was always present even 50 years later.
Yes, but don't you think if Hashem killed your children that this might be a conflict for you?
God took my child too. We don't know God's plan. But we have faith that whatever Hashem does, remember that TV show Father Knows Best? Father Knows Best?
Right.
I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
That's Judaism. Father knows best even though we don't understand.
Right.
We're little children, what do we know? But since we know that Hashem is our loving parent, and whatever He does somehow is for the best. So after 120, we'll see how it's for the best. Now we can only believe it. But when we shed the bodysuit, we'll see it.
But I think there's also something in the Talmud that says that when a person is commanded to do something by Hashem, you do get schar.
Of course you get schar, but then you don't deserve a pat on the back if God says to do something and you do it. Who would not do it? He got a direct command from Hashem. He was a Navi. So is it a big pat on the back that he would do it if God says to me personally do it? Where's the beef? This pash is full of complaints. They complain, where is the beef? There's complaints and there's complaints. It depends what you complain about in life. To complain, where's the beef? That's a negative complaint. But look at Bamidbar 9, verse 7, Sarah. These people also complain, but they don't complain for the beef. It's Pesach time, and they're carrying a dead body. They're exempt. Take a pill and lie down. What do you want? What are you complaining about? You carry a dead body. Osik b'mitzvah potem in a mitzvah. How do you say that in English?
Busy in the mitzvah.
You're doing one mitzvah exempt from another. Why are you complaining that you can't do the Korban Pesach? Take a pill and lie down. There's complaints and there's complaints. Where are you complaining for a better hamburger? Or better pickles they want, right? That's negative complaint. You're complaining you want more Kedusha. You want more spirituality, right on. Depends what you complain about in life. Powerful message. Powerful message. The Mishnah says, Eizel Ashir Sameach Bechelko. Who is called wealthy? Someone that's happy with his stock portfolio or bank account. That's what it says. But maybe I'm happy, I learned enough, I'm happy with my chelik. I won't be the Vilna Gaon. I learned a little bit of this. That's okay. That's a Russia. Sameach Bechelko is only what? In Gashmiut. In physical matters, you'll be happy with your lot. But in spiritual matters, Sarah, greedy. Greedy. More. Give me more. Powerful message. Begashmiut, Sameach Bechelko. But in Ruchniut, Chas v'sholom be Sameach Bechelko. We are Mahalech constantly. Malach Elim Olim, the Yordim. Yaakov was shown a ladder in his dream. Shirley, nobody takes a coffee break on a ladder. If you're not climbing up, in spiritual matters, if you're not climbing up, you're climbing down. So spiritual matters, you always have to be greedy. Is greed good or bad? Good. It depends. It depends. It depends how you use your greed. Is envy good or bad? Depends. Envy for someone's physical possessions, it's a terrible sin. But to envy someone's spiritual treasures, that's a positive. Kinat sofrim, tar bechokhmah. Gemara Baba Basra. To envy great Torah sages, their wisdom, their good deeds, that's a positive. That's a positive envy. Because why, Abraham? Why? Why to be envious of someone's wife or car or swimming pool? Is it sin? One of the 10 Commandments. But to envy someone's spiritual treasures, someone's scholarship and good deeds, why is that a positive envy? You ever wonder? Envy is envy. What's it all about? I'll tell you why. Hakol b'dei shemayim chutz miyirat shemayim. If you're a believer that everything is in the hands of God except the fear of God, that means that guy has a beautiful wife, a beautiful swimming pool, a Mercedes. He got that on his own. God gave him that. So I have a bicycle. Right? If God wants me to have a Mercedes, I have a Mercedes. If you're jealous of someone's physical possessions, says Evan Ezra, why is it the top 10? Why is envy on the top 10 in the 10 Commandments? What is it? Doesn't seem to be as bad as what? As adultery and murder. Why is it up there? Lo tachmod. Oh, it can lead to adultery and murder, right? You keep envying someone's possessions or his wife, you come to knock him off. But on a deeper level, says the Even Ezra, it betrays a lack of emunah in Hashem. If you really believe that God's in charge, whatever happens to you, it's all God, then if you envy someone else's physical possessions, it means you don't believe in God. Because if you did believe in God, who gave him those physical possessions? It's all Hashem. Hashem wanted him to have it, not to me. So if you envy of his physical possessions, material possessions, it betrays a lack of emunah in Hashem. So therefore it's a negative. But who gave him his spiritual treasures? Hashem gave it to him? No. Hakol b'dei shemayim, chut me'yirah shemayim. Everything in the hands of God except what? Your spiritual treasures is not up to God. It's up to you. I have a right to be jealous of that. God didn't give you your scholarship. God didn't give you your mitzvot and your goodness. You got that on your own. So why can't I do that? That's up to me, not up to God. So that's why it's a positive envy on someone's spiritual treasures as opposed to his physical treasures. Yes.
When you share what you know with us,
What?
when you share your wisdom with us, you don't lose it, but we get it. So it's sort of like the light, you know.
We light each other's fire. Light my fire. Like a candle, right? And you have to hold the flame until the flame goes up of its own, says Rashi. But the menorah is a symbol. You have to inspire others until he's able to what? Light his own candle. Powerful symbolism, Shirley. Spiritual treasures is not up to God. It's up to me. So if he can do it, why can't I do it? A swimming pool, he has a beautiful pool, that's not up to him, that's up to Hashem. So therefore, physical envy is a sin. But to envy someone's spiritual treasures in life, that is a positive. That is a positive. In everything in life, you can use the midah, how do you say midah? The character trait positively or negatively. You make the call. Now, something incredible over here. Eretz Yisrael. What do you have to focus on? You look at Bamidbar 10, keep in mind there are no extra words in the Torah. Bamidbar 10, verse 32. Moshe Rabbeinu was speaking about Pisgat Zev, Ashkelon. Bamidbar 10, verse 32. He's speaking to his father-in-law, trying to convince him to leave Borough Park and come to where? Eretz Yisrael. Now look what he says, Bamidbar 10, verse 32. Keep in mind there are no extra words in the Torah. If you come with us, the good which Hashem will do for us, what? And again, how many times is the word good written in the verse 32? Anybody want to count? 3 times. Hatov, Yetiv, Hitavnu. When you're talking about Eretz Yisrael, you're supposed to focus only what?
Good.
On the good. What a message. Otherwise, the words are redundant, Shirley. If you come with us to Pisgat Zev, to Rechavia, Voyatov Ahu, Asher Yetiv Hashem Imanu, Nochamol, Vitavnu Loch. In Eretz Yisrael, you're only supposed to focus what? Good. Avi, 3 times the word good. Isn't that incredible? What a message. Hashem said, in my living room, I only want you to look at the good. Powerful message. He pleads with Yisro. Please come with us. Yisro says, no thanks. In verse 30, I'm going back to my country and to my birthplace, right? You ever wonder, the 2 great converts in Jewish history, Ruth and Yisro, 2 great super converts. There's a parsha in the Torah named after Yisro, and not just any parsha, the parsha of Matan Torah no less. Isn't it bizarre we don't name our kids Yisro, but we do name our kids Ruth? Don't you think that's strange?
Ruth stayed with us.
Ruth,
And Israel.
beautiful. You guys are ahead of me. Ruth came to Eretz Yisrael. She said to be a complete Jew, you can't do it in Borough Park. In Midian or Moab. Yisro says you can be a frum Jew even in Midian. Therefore, we don't name our kids Yisro, but we do name our children Ruth. Both great converts. But Rabbi Sprecher explains, isn't it amazing? Right after Parshat Beha'alotcha, what parsha do you have? The parsha of the Meraglim, Abraham. When the two parshas in the Torah next door, it has to be what? Why does the parsha of the spies follow right after this parsha? Said the great Rabbi Sprecher, Yisro was a great man. A parsha in the Torah named after him. The Meraglim were listening very carefully. What did he say? You can be a complete Jew even in the Midbar. Even in Midian you can be a complete Jew. They were listening. The Mishnah says, Eza chacham aroyat anolad. Who's called wise? Someone that can foresee what? The consequence of his actions. Yisro, you're a great man. People are listening to you. What are you saying? You can be a good Jew back in Midian? Wow. You can be frum in Chutz La'aretz? And that put a bee in the how do you say, bee in the bonnet of the Meraglim. Well, if a great man like Yisro can be a complete Jew where? In Midian, we can be a complete Jew in the Midbar and also in Egypt. Therefore, we don't name our kids Yisro. But we do name our kids Ruth, because Ruth said to be a full Jew, Avi, complete, only in Pisgat Zev, in Ashkelon.
What about Jerusalem?
Yerushalayim, or any place in Israel, but especially Jerusalem. Yisro didn't have an ayin tovah. Look at the consequences of your action. And therefore, the very next Parsha, Yehuda, is the Parsha of the spies. Kawinky Dinky? Wow. Be careful. People are listening to you, especially if you're a Torah scholar, a leader. People are looking and watching your every move. When it comes to Eretz Yisrael, you have to have only an ayin tovah. So therefore, the verse is repeated in 32. Atov, yetiv, yitavnu lach. But Yisro said, ich fornished. How do you say in Yiddish, ich fornished? I'm not going, no. Going back to my country, Rashi says, my nechosai, I have to protect my investments, and my family is there, and therefore I'm not going. I can be a complete Jew even in Midian as well. Now the question is, Moshe pleads with him in verse 31. See verse 31? Please don't leave us. You are our eyes. Right? You are our eyes. Moshe needs a Midianite tour guide. You know, the Druze are the descendants of Yisro. They're very good trackers. The Druze in the IDF, they come from Jethro. We need a Midianite tour guide? Why is Moshe pleading with him, you'll be our eyes? You see verse 31? You know where we are in the Midbar. You're a great tracker, Yisro. You're a great scout. You'll be our eyes. We don't need him. We have the best GPS in the world. Follow that cloud. Sound cloud. So what do you mean you'll be our eyes? So Rashi says something amazing. Rashi gives a few explanations. Rashi says, you can enlighten our eyes. Sometimes an outsider can have a different perspective. You're an outsider. You can appreciate. We have our nose pressed to the portrait too close. It takes an outsider to see a different perspective, to appreciate the miracles that Hashem is doing for us, because you're coming from the outside. And we need that perspective of yours. Because if you're too close, the Talmud says, Ein bal nes makir et niso. How do you say that in English? Someone that's involved in the miracle constantly, you can't see the forest for the trees. You need an outsider like Yisro to point out the miracles of Hashem. Another explanation, says Rashi, we love you like we love our eyes. Even in modern Hebrew, Avi, when you say you love somebody, say Al Anayim Shali. Al Anayim Shali. Rashi said that you are a Ger Tzedek. We love you like we love the apple of our eye. If you leave, you will be depriving us of 36 mitzvot. Jews love bargains. Buy one, get 36. V'haftem et hager, says Rambam. If you show love to a ger tzedek, you're getting 36 mitzvos. Buy one, get 36. If you leave Jethro, you'll be depriving us of the love that we love you like we love the apple of our eye. And therefore you have to stick around. Not as a tour guide, but to give us the awesome opportunity to what? To do the mitzvah, to love a ger tzedek as we love the apple of our eye. I want to close with this. Bamidbar, take a look at Bamidbar 10, Pasuk Lamed Hey. Do you mind if I sing it? Bamidbar 10, Pasuk Lamed Hey. Do you mind? Bamidbar 10, verse 35. Want to sing it together? Nobody? Vahi ben Aaron, Vayomer Moshe, Komo Adonai, V'yafutzu oivecha, V'yanusu misanecha, mipanecha. I won't give up my day job. When the ark traveled, when the Jewish people traveled, right? The ark led the way. Moshe said, get up, Hashem, and let the PLO run away from you. Those that hate you, who hates God? Who hates God? If you hate Am Yisrael, you hate God. But today we don't have a traveling ark. What is the message for today? We know that Torah is GPS. Today we have no ark, and the ark doesn't travel. What is the message? Look at the word Aron. The root is Or. Why is the ark called Aron? It contains the light of Torah. You light up my life. But even so, when you're traveling on the highway of life, on the long and winding road, Ha'aron, follow the light of Torah. Otherwise you get fablunchit. How do you say that in English? Lost in space. What a message. We're all travelers on the highway of life. Our roadmap, our GPS to life is the Aron. What's the root of the word Aron? The Or HaTorah. That's our GPS and guide to life. Otherwise, you get a road trap. If you don't have the roadmap of the Aron, Lo Yaleinu, you have a road trap. The Or HaTorah, the long and winding road of life, that's our roadmap. And because even though we have no ark today, but the idea is there that without the light of Torah, we're lost on the highway of life. And that's our lifeline, is the light of Torah. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.